Welcome to the Joyful Nourishment Podcast. This is a podcast about our relationship with food and eating, body image, eating disorder recovery, mental health, and more. I am your host, Lynn Thorstensen, a registered nutrition therapist and body image coach based in the west of Ireland. And I'm so glad that you're here. Welcome back to another episode of the Joyful Nourishment Podcast. And today I am doing a solo episode with the intention of giving you some thoughts of how you can potentially reframe some of your thinking that might not be quite as helpful moving forward towards a peaceful relationship with food, eating, and your body. Before we dive into today's episode, I wanted to make a quick announcement that I am currently taking on clients. I have a couple of people who are finishing up because they're doing really well, which is, I think, really the goal of the whole thing. In my approach and the way I work, my intention for the people that I support and work with is that they will eventually get to a place where they're feeling stable, secure, and have all the skills, or a lot of skills and tools and practices to help themselves come back to that kind of peaceful relationship with food, eating, and their bodies when life maybe is throwing them some curveballs. How long that takes, how many sessions that somebody might need, really depends. And that is what I found over the years working with probably hundreds of people at this stage, that it's difficult to tell exactly how many sessions somebody would need and how long the time span that we often work together is. But I would say 6 months it's a kind of a good time frame. 12 months is a good time frame. Sometimes it takes longer than that. Sometimes people come weekly for a good while. Sometimes people come once a week for a while, and then for a few sessions, and then typically it tends to peter out. And that's sort of the goal, where you find your own way and I'm just there in the background supporting you, and we might have a few check-ins to kind of see how things are going, and a space for processing what might be happening. But I have found that it really differs, and that's kind of why I have been moving away from offering packages and programs, because it comes back to really whatever it is that the person I'm working with specifically needs for where they're at, and going along to whatever is presenting itself. I think it seems to be working quite well, and that just gives me flexibility. It gives the person I'm working with flexibility to change and adapt in ways for whatever is needed. So like I said, I'm currently taking on a few clients. I have space for maybe 3 or 4 new people. And if you're interested in exploring this, you can sign up using the link below for a discovery call or an exploration call. And this is really a good opportunity for us to get to know each other. There's no there's no commitment. It's free. You can come have a chat for 30 minutes. Let's see where you're at. Let's see if what I'm offering is a good fit for you. And if it's not, I'll try to signpost you to somewhere there that might be. And if it is, then why wait until the new year? Why not start on your journey straight away and get some additional support or guidance over the coming weeks as we're navigating through the Christmas holidays with all the food and all the people and everything that can be quite challenging at this time of the year. So if there's something that you're interested in, please feel free to use the link below where it says book in for a one-to-one exploration call here, and that will take you to my calendar, and you can just book in, answer a couple of questions, and pick a time that suits you from my calendar and my availability. And I hope to connect with you then. So in today's solo episode, I wanted to talk about a practice or a tool that's called when then versus even though, which is a practice that comes from the Eating Freely program in which I am trained and which I'm currently also involved training practitioners for who want to help people who are struggling with binge and emotional eating. And whether that's you, whether you're maybe feel like, your presentation is a bit more restricting, or if you're somebody who would identify with having been on and off diets for years and years and years, I think this practice and this reflective practice and reframing tool can really help to kind of challenge some of that black and white, all or nothing thinking, and that kind of thinking that can keep us stuck in a place instead of moving forward, and really help us live more in the present than in the future. So how this work is, you might take, and if you want to use pen and paper or record digitally or whatever way works for you, is to start thinking about a statement that includes something that maybe you've been putting off. So you might been thinking to yourself that when I have lost X amount of pounds or weight, then I can whatever, start dating. Then I can more comfortably go out with my friend. Or how would this particular thing showed up for me was that I used to think, I'd get on the scales and I think, when I weigh this magic number, then I will be happy. So there's kind of two ways I think this can go. It's either what are you currently putting off thinking, I will do this or I can do that when I have lost weight. And the other thing, of course, is that if you are just simply putting off until you've lost weight, or until you fit into a particular jean size or dress size or whatever, or this kind of sense that there is no way that I can be content with the body that I'm currently in. And I'd really want us to challenge that. Is that really true? When you really dig underneath it, is that true? Because maybe you can't be happy with your body, but maybe there is still glimmers of joy, contentment in your life at large. But anyway, how this works is, take your pen and paper, put that statement that says, when I lose the weight, when I fit into these pants, or whatever it is, what is that future statement that you're putting off? Then I will join a dating app, go on a date, do something that you want to be doing, that you're putting off, right? So take that statement and then turn it around to, even though I'm not happy with my weight or with my body or with how my body looks, or even though I have still some work to do, I can still find a sense of happiness in my life, or I can still join a dating app, or I can still go out with my friends, or I can still wear a pretty dress if I want to. So try that out for size. Can you change that line of thinking, that thought from when I have whatever to even though I'm experiencing this, or I'm feeling this, or I'm thinking that, I can still, whatever it is you're putting off, if I want to. And just notice how that reframe lands in your body. Is there a lot of resistance? Does it feel maybe like there's an opening? Could it be true? Could that thinking be challenged, that you have to put things off until you feel a certain way about your body or your weight? And what would it be like if you could still do that thing that you want, even though you're not happy with your body or your weight or whatever? So take some time, play around with this, sit with it and notice what comes up. And again, I don't think doing these kind of exercises, it's not like we change our thinking straight away. And there might be a lot of resistance come up. There's no way I can do this. And just notice, sometimes I feel like there's another layer to that. So even if there's a lot of resistance to this, can you do another layer with the resistance that come up? Even though I believe that I possibly cannot be happy in the current body I'm in, I can still do whatever it is you're putting off if I want to. So we're trying to separate this idea that your life is on hold. And maybe there are limitations, of course, things are never straightforward. And are there things that actually you could do right now if you want to, that has nothing to do with how you feel about your body or how you think or you should be feeling about your body? So let me know, how does this land? How does this exercise work for you? I'd be really curious, and I hope you have a great week. And I suppose as we draw this to a close, and this is a short solo one, I want to say thank you for everybody who's joined the podcast and listening. The podcast has now had over 4,000 downloads, which is pretty incredible for my tiny little podcast that I record in my kitchen or in my bedroom, and that I have this opportunity to talk to these amazing people around the world. So thank you so much for being here. I hope some of the content is helpful. I know it's not going to be, everything isn't going to be for everyone, but I'm hoping as we go along on this journey that there's going to be different things that suits different people and that you can get something from it. And again, if you know somebody who may benefit from some of this content, please free to share with them. And I think that's all I have to say for this week. And again, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for listening. The Joyful Nourishment podcast is produced with no financial backing, and your support means a lot to keep this project going. If this episode has been helpful in any way, please consider liking, subscribing, or leaving a 5-star review on whatever platform you listen to podcasts on. This helps the podcast to be found by others. And of course, you can also forward this episode to a friend whom you think may benefit. Find out more about what I offer on straightforwardnutrition.com, and if you're interested in working with me, please use the link in the show notes to book in for a free initial 30-minute session. And finally, please come and join the Joyful Nourishment community over on Substack, unless you're there already, by subscribing to my newsletter using the link below.